Hey, Destiny Church, so glad you could join us today as we continue in our Life of Christ series. Today, I want to challenge you to get you thinking outside the box a little. Today, I have a question that may be somewhat confusing at first, but I promise I'll make sense of it for you. And the question is this: how would you go about sanctifying the name of God in your life today? See, Jesus teaches us to pray in Matthew 6 in the Lord's Prayer, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is what Jesus is saying. Your name be sanctified, your rule be established, and your will be done. And as we talked about earlier in this week's teaching, it's all saying the same thing, and it's this, that God's name is sanctified through my obedience, and that his rule is established when I obey him. I proclaim him as king when I obey him. And when I do his will, well, that's what it's all about. In another passage, we find Jesus telling his disciples, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So let me challenge you with something today that I believe that can be life-changing when you consider it. See, God's name is at stake in you. Look, I know we are living in a day and time when it's very common for us to blame the decline of faith and following of God on the media, on politics, on Hollywood, and many other things within the secular world. But can I be honest with you? The secular world is going to behave like the secular world. Why should we expect them to be any different? See, the reason God's name is being profaned in our world is not them, it's us. We are not living in a way that shows our good deeds and allows people to glorify God because of how we live. So how can you sanctify God's name today? How can you establish and show him that he is your king? How can you do his will? Again, we're all representatives of God in the world, and his name is at stake in us. So how can we do that? I want you to think about that today. How can you sanctify his name in your life today?